Thank you, Madam Chair, and for giving me an opportunity to speak as a guest at committee. This is a really hard report for me to accept, especially in light of the experience that I had last week. And I want to share that with everyone. Councillor Lehman and I had the opportunity to visit the Fanshawe winter response site at the Fanshawe Golf Course last week. And we had an opportunity to talk not just with our staff, but with residents who were staying there. And this winter response program can only be called, in any measure of the word, from what I heard from the actual participants, a success. People are moving into permanent housing. One of the residents has been able to return to employment. They're learning life skills for living on their own, helping prepare meals together, helping clean up the space together. We've bought the trailers, we've got property. We need to find a way to continue to deliver this. I want to tell you what one of the participants shared with Councillor Lehman and I when we were there. He said, I don't mean to joke because I know we're at a golf club, but it feels like I've won the lottery and gone on vacation. It's not a siege mentality here. I don't have to sleep with one eye open. He was really clear that this was far superior to the shelter experiences he's had and to the winter response program last year. Because putting it out at Fanshawe Golf Course, I know received a lot of criticism at first from people who have some experience in delivering housing and homelessness relief programs. But to hear the individuals talk that we had a chance to talk to, those criticisms bear no weight with me. This was a relief for them. It was an opportunity to get away from some of the negative influences in the street culture. And yes, they had some days where they were bored, but they were warm, they were fed, and they were developing a sense of community. You know what one of them said to me is, we've been here for a couple of months now. There's about 30 people living here, and no one carries a weapon. That wouldn't happen downtown. Everyone carries a weapon downtown. He said, the police haven't been here once to break up a fight or to deal with a problem between the people who are staying here and the staff or the residents. He said it took a little while to get used to being out there, but it actually gave him a sense of dignity and a sense that the city and the people of the city cared about him. And I think that reflects very strongly and positively on the work that our staff did to pull this together in really the 11th hour, because the SSRF funding was in question. I think it speaks very highly to London Cares and the work they've done providing support out there. We need to find a way to keep this going. This one in particular, this winter response that we were able to offer at Fanshawe Golf Course has been a success. And there's a number of other programs winding down in here too, and I'm sure that there has been some success stories coming out of those. Ultimately, the goal does need to be housing for all, but we know that goal is years down the road and is a stretch goal, because there are always going to be individuals who are struggling to maintain housing on their own. And unfortunately, people will fall on hard times. One of the people that I had a chance to talk to made it really clear, not everybody who's homeless, is an addict or has a mental health problem. They develop those problems because they become homeless. And the addiction or the mental health problems develop because of how hard life on the street is. And that's the only way they have to escape sometimes. So this idea, the stereotypical idea of all, they're all drug addicts and they're there because they've made bad choices, it's not true. One fellow had an accident, had to have vertebrae in his spine fused and couldn't work. There but for the grace of God could go anyone in this community. So I don't know how we find the funding, because we all know that municipal budgets and property tax dollars are limited and they only stretch so far, and housing support services are difficult. But we are doing things that are working. We are doing things that are helping people transition back into a more stable, long-term housing option. And the winter response that we've provided at the golf course this year has been a key component of helping many people move through that and transition back. And we've gotten them paper ready, and they've been able to get clothes through donations. They've been able to learn to cook meals for themselves. And, when we have to give credit to our partners too, and folks like the London Food Bank were involved in that, and we thank them for that. So we've got to find a way to engage community partners more to keep this going. I don't know what the budget answer is. Obviously, we have to continue our advocacy. But if you could hear the stories that I had a chance to hear last week, you wouldn't question for a moment the value we got out of the dollars that we put into this. It was worth every cent. So I hope as we move forward, we can continue to advocate both with provincial and, advocate with our federal partners too. Senior levels of government have to be part of the solution here. But I just have to take the opportunity to say that the staff who were involved in this program have my sincere gratitude and thanks. They've done an amazing job, and they have really changed the lives of many Londoners who were living on the street, who were sleeping in doorways or sleeping in shelter beds, who now have, the one fellow we talked to that day, earlier in the morning, had been driven in to the city to sign the lease for the apartment that he was going to be moving into in the middle of this month. That's a success story, and we've got to find a way to keep those going.
Thank you, Councillor.